Hey guys, Felipe here with another haircut video. This one is a very simple cut. We are doing a mid skin fade with a comb over natural part. So as usual, the way I like to start all of my cuts is by setting my foundation, which I use my number 2 guard to do so. In most cases, when I do use my number 2 guard, I go straight up in the air, not following the head shape. Here, however, I am using the number 2 guard and I am scooping out. So I am almost going up straight up in the air with a little bit of angle. I am creating like a square shape. And then since we are doing a mid skin fade, right after that I get my 000s and start creating that first guideline. Now we are doing a mid skin fade, so usually I like to use the ear as my guide. I'm going slightly above the ear's height and I'm creating a slight drop going around the occipital bone. You don't have to make everything perfectly neat. You are going to blend everything together, so it doesn't really matter. What I like to do is make everything even on both sides, obviously, and just roughly kind of clean up that line. Perfect line is nice, but too perfect is just a waste of time. So as you see there, my initial guideline is not the most neatest, but we're gonna fade all that out anyway, so it doesn't really matter. After the 000s, go ahead with my Slimline Pros or your trimmers and remove extra little hair, the neck hairs and everything. The Slimline Pros cuts shorter than the 000s, and so by doing this you create another layer of transition. So moving forward, opening my lever is equivalent to a 0.5. I create my second guideline. As I've said in my previous videos, I like to set a guideline and then remove it immediately. And so that's what I'm doing here. I set my guideline at about 3/4 of an inch on one side, and I close the lever and remove that guideline. Now, what I've been noticing is actually, when I say close the lever halfway to remove that line, it's a very general thing to say because some hairs require you to actually close the lever a lot more than just halfway in order to remove that line, as long as you are flicking out. Just keep that in mind when you especially for people who are starting out. If you're doing a skin fade and you're wondering why you're not removing a line, it's probably because you probably want to close that lever a little bit more or open it a little bit more. Using the scooping action works wonders. So So moving forward here, you want to use a number 1 guard. Again, create a guideline and then close the lever to remove the guideline. Here, the client has pretty easy hair to blend. His hair is very thin, and so it makes my job a lot easier. I do one side, remove the guideline, I create another guideline on the back and on the other side, and then remove it by closing the lever. Easy breezy. You just have to follow the process. So once I finish with the number 1 guard, I take the 1.5 guard with the lever open and go over that fade one more time. That allows me to pretty much buffer everything out and help blend the fade a little bit better, as you see there. A little quick 5-star shaver just to sharpen up the edges in the bottom there, and then we're off to the races here with the scissors. I like to use my shears to work on the side hair or the top hair. So Here with my shears, I'm doing just a shear of a comb. I am softening up that line that you see there, that really hard line that you see that I created with the number 2 guard initially. This is fairly simple, but it's hard to get. It might take some people a really long time to get this down, and which is why they prefer to do clipper of a comb. But I believe that shear of a comb is the best technique to do this. When I do shear of a comb, I like to do it on dry hair. And then I'll wet the hair and start the process of doing shear of a finger. Here, as you can see there, the client is laying the hair towards his right side, and so that's where I begin my blend. I comb the hair over to that side and use my transition hair that I just blended with the shear over comb technique, and I use that as my guide. Here I actually have my thinning shears, and I am going over it on the sides to blend everything else just even more. For the fade, the 1.5 guard is the buffer. For the top work, thinning shears are the buffer. It just makes everything look much better. So here I'm just fine tuning everything. Actually, the client he didn't really like how exaggerated his left side right there, and so I went and cut it a little bit more. If I cut it too short, then it would have just started poking out, and so you have to be careful with that. You have to analyze the hair, and that's what I did there. I cut just a little bit off, but then I explained to him that if we cut any shorter, then the hair is gonna poke out and gonna be really uncontrollable. That's pretty much what we got here. The haircut is pretty much over. Now we're gonna start doing some styling. Blow dry. The client doesn't really need a lot of blow drying. I'm using it just to dry the hair, but also to help blow it to the back. His hair behaves really well, and so I could have just applied the product. But then again, you want to make everything look better than everyone else. So here I'm using the matte pomade from Uppercut, and there it is, guys. This is the haircut. Client was very happy, and so was I, so mission accomplished here. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and stay up and stay watching. Peace.
Simple as that, baby.